I'm going to do my best to cut the Mega Rule into 10 to 15 minutes, so there's a little bit of time for questions. This same presentation in a much longer form is being delivered at the Rocky Mountain Short Course tomorrow morning. So if you are in Colorado and attending that short course, come join me tomorrow morning, and because yeah, it's hard to limit this topic to a short version, and so I'm going to touch on it very briefly here, why it's so important. The two bottom events on this slide are really the key drivers for the Mega Rule. The San Bruno incident in California was tragic. 8 people died, another 50 so got injured, and hundreds of homes got destroyed. And then the bottom right here is the right-of-way fire in West Virginia in 2012. That particular event is significant because it changed the way that PHMSA classifies roadways, because an 800 section foot of that highway there got thermally damaged. And so it caused them to reconsider how roadways are classified. And just in December, this past month, on the top right here is the Keystone Pipeline XL spill. 600,000 gallons of oil spilled in Kansas. And then here in Colorado, the Firestone house explosion of 2017. There's multiple instances of this, but the bottom line is all of these instances that keep recurring caused PHMSA to kind of reevaluate how they're managing and regulating pipelines, not only transmission, but gathering as well. So quick glimpse at the timeline. The top line with the light blue markers here are all part 1. Part 2 is in orange, and then part 3 is the dark blue tickers at the bottom. Note on part 2, PHMSA just recently issued a stay of enforcement for that. And so it says May 24th of 2023 right now, but that stay of enforcement has some language that then defers that till February of next year. But there's some fine print in there at the bottom that says, but if they deem it a safety issue, then they can reserve the right to enforce this for certain parts of pipelines now. And so it's a little bit gray area, a little bit ambiguous. The best thing that people can do is to just make sure they're as ready as they can possibly be as soon as possible, just in case they decide to pull that, yeah, but we can do whatever we want card. And so quick breakdown of the different parts here. Part 1 is really all about MAOP reconfirmation and safety at ILI launcher and receiver facilities. Really, that's just making sure that the pressure buildup is relieved before they go to either remove or put in the ILI tool. And then extending some regulations to moderate consequence areas as well. Instead of just having so much focus on high consequence areas, they're kind of extending that out to more remote locations. And so that's really all about risk management plans there. Part 2 and part 3 are where we're going to focus most of our time today. Part 2 being loaded with information, but the key points here are listed. Anytime there's extreme weather that cause movement around the soil of the pipe will need to be inspected. That's a 72-hour time frame. That could be hard for people to meet, especially in remote locations where they don't have either visibility into the weather around the area. They don't know if a weather event qualifies. And then being able to deploy survey teams in such short notice could not only be an operational and logistical challenge for people, but it could also be expensive to try and figure out how to get people out there at a last minute notice. Similar requirements were put into place around doing DCVG or ACVG surveys anytime there's a line backfill event. And that time frame is similar, 72 hours, and then you have to resurvey that area. AC and DC interference. This is something that a lot of people have been starting to do over the last several years in really understanding how AC interference and DC interference impacts our corrosion management on our pipelines. But now PHMSA has just written that into regulation, that that's something that people need to do. And then on part 3, the key there is really the amount of miles of pipe that's now included that needs to be reported on. And so to put it into perspective here, for gas transmission lines, last year's reporting was around 310,000 miles. And so this adds an additional 400,000 miles that need to be included in the annual reports in March. And then for the percentage of miles of those that actually fall into needing to do full cathodic protection, leak surveys, and all of those, just more advanced corrosion control methodologies, that's about 90,000 miles worth of pipe that's impacted. And so an additional challenge will be surely in place for people that can't get all of those reports done in time. And then moving on here into some technology that American Innovations provides that can help you meet these guidelines. For part 2, focusing on AC and DC interference surveys. By leveraging the Bullhorn product line and then the Micromax interrupters, you're able to do what's pictured on this screen here, where you can coordinate these interference and influence studies to really understand how other pipelines are taking a part in your CP program, and really identify what's going on there. Of course, this requires extreme amounts of coordination, and it's something that people will surely have to work on with their neighbors, but the Bullhorn product line supports this today. For monitoring daily AC trends, this almost certainly requires some sort of automation. And so the Triton test station monitors, those have the ability to pull in regular cadence readings, so you can get down to the quarter of the hour, which is what we're showing on the screen here, to really understand where your peak times are coming in from AC interference from overhead lines. And so then you can try to understand what proactive actions you can take to protect your pipelines. But this really allows you to get down to the granular level of detail into when your peak times are throughout the day. And so there's a peak over here in the morning. And as you can see, you can try to figure out when do I need to be more proactive than other times. Note on this though, make sure that your billing plan supports this kind of level of measurement. Otherwise, it could result in some serious overages. For facilitating those field surveys, and this is really for the inspections after extreme weather, once DCVG is available in Q1 of this year, that will be included in this as well, but really having the right survey equipment. And so data canes, those DVMs that are so great in helping you capture those readings, and then GPS technology. And so they come in a variety of flavors of location accuracy with sub-meter, sub-foot, centimeter level accuracy. But by leveraging the right field equipment, it will not only help you get those surveys done faster, but it will help you ensure that they're correct the first time, eliminating the need for you to have to go back and do some rework later down the line. Remote monitoring. So remote monitoring is huge, not only for that external corrosion monitoring, but also to help you with those locations that fall into risk of having extreme weather, risk of having floods, and locations that you can't necessarily deploy people out to easily. PHMSA has not written into the rules that you have to be physically physically present for these inspections. It just says that the inspection has to happen. And so a great option for you then is to put as many RMUs out there as you can. Might be a larger upfront capital cost, but it could really save you further down the line when you have to do a survey last minute without having to figure out who are you going to send out there and how are you going to get them out there. Likewise, it helps with your windshield time in general. And so most people on here probably already know that you have to do the inspection 6 times a year, but you only have to physically be there 1 time a year. And so RMUs on your rectifiers is just a time savings, which then obviously time is money. And so that translates to significant cost savings for people as well. Moving on to part 3, purpose-built solutions for CP. And so this is actually a screenshot from that our data services team put together for a PCS hosted customer. And this is an example of what we could do if you have PCS hosted. But otherwise, PCS in general has a dashboard that will give you a glimpse into your survey statuses, open maintenance items, and just a quick glimpse into where your CP program is as a whole. By leveraging tools that do this for you just ensures that it's not only a sanity check for yourself, but it's a comfort blanket almost when it comes time to doing audits. Using PCS has been proven to decrease audit preparation time by up to 75%. And then also along that same vein, meeting the inspection cadence for all of these new miles of pipe, in addition to all of the current miles of transmission pipeline that fall under regulations today. Leveraging technology that actually will allow you to schedule out those surveys for you. And so this is a screenshot directly from the PCS scheduling engine. You have the ability to do hierarchy level overrides on here. So if there's a particular segment of pipe that you want to have a more strict scheduling inspection timeline, maybe it's older and you just want to make sure things are in check a little bit more often than what the regulations dictate, you have the ability to do that here. You can't go less than what the regulations dictate, but you can make them more strict if you would like to. And that's the very brief SparkNotes version of the Mega Rule.